Now the new laws putting bike riders on notice. Tonight, the increased fines for cyclists who break the law. But the changes have angered the cycling community. Ben McCormack's been investigating and joins me now. Ben?
Tracy, speeding, running red lights and hanging on to moving cars. Cyclists are seen by many other road users as a nuisance, arrogant and a danger on the road. Well, now the government is doing something about it by slugging them with huge fines if they break the law. Cyclists say it's unfair, but others believe the changes are long overdue and will make the roads safer for everyone.
The overarching message is anti-cycling.
We support these laws, we support them all.
So it really just adds to the demonisation that we're all lawbreakers, which is just not true.
Is this demonising cyclists?
No, it's about saving cyclists' lives.
It's the biggest crackdown on bike riders since the invention of the wheel, and they're not happy.
The penalties are just not in line with the risk.
From next week, a range of new laws will see bike riders pay the same fines as car drivers for breaking road rules. And just like all drivers, they'll be forced to carry identification.
Again, it's part of the overarching message of cyclists are something different and doing something wrong.
Drivers will have to get used to a new law too. That Meter Matters rule will become enforceable.
We think that it will go a long way to giving people the information they need, the guidance they need to share the road safely.
There they go, so they're off now.
They go through the red light.
For a long time now, we've seen so much bad behaviour from cyclists. Running red lights, speeding. OK, I'm sitting here now doing the speed limit, 30 k's an hour. Look at these guys. No regard for the law. Even bullying and intimidating drivers and vandalising cars. Many drivers aren't much better. Driving dangerously close to cyclists, causing crashes and serious injuries. Even assaulting bike riders. Fed up, the state government in New South Wales is doing something about it. The fine for cyclists running red lights in New South Wales will increase dramatically, from $71 to $425. In Queensland, the fine is now $353 and Victoria, $292.
The fine should be appropriate to the consequences, and we just object to these automatic equivalents of cars and bicycles.
Ray Rice is from Bicycle New South Wales and believes the fines are way over the top. Too much stick and not enough carrot.
So you've got to look at the consequence of the offence and have the penalty match those consequences.
Cyclists can kill pedestrians and have killed pedestrians running red lights.
Yes, cyclists can injure pedestrians.
Kill them.
It's very, very rare.
When we set up a camera along this busy route into the city, we catch 20 cyclists running the red light in just 1 hour. It's the same crossing where Ben Phillips has to walk every day.
You don't know where they are, you just hear them at the last second, and your life's really in a lot of danger.
He's blind and told us he's been cleaned up by cyclists here many times.
It's a red light, lady. Red light, guys.
Is there any excuse for a cyclist running through a red light?
There's no excuse for breaking the law, and no road user should break the law.
We want to make sure that the penalties are in place to discourage people from going through red lights. In order to do that, the fine needed to be more substantial than it already was. And when you accept the fact that the overwhelming majority of cyclists aren't doing that anyway, it's really just about targeting those who are putting their lives at very great risk.
Motoring group the NRMA has long believed that cyclists needed to be hit with bigger fines. Peter Corey says they'll result in not only protecting pedestrians, but riders too.
A cyclist going through a red light and a car going through a green light in the opposite direction is going to end very badly for the cyclist. And we don't want that, because 250,000 of our members cycle. We want them getting home alive to their families. In our view, $420 fine versus the very real possibility of you losing your life becomes a no-brainer.
Cyclists are also furious at another new law which will require them to carry photo identification at all times. If they don't, it's a $106 fine.
If cyclists, bicycle riders, were forced to carry identification, they'd be the only group in society carrying a photo identification document.
If we're going to have laws which are put in place to try and save the lives of cyclists, we need to be able to enforce those laws, and the police need to be able to identify a cyclist who has done the wrong thing, and at the end of the day, that's what this is about.
The fine for not wearing a helmet will be increased from $71 to $319. In Queensland, it's now $110, and Victoria, $176.
People don't want to wear their helmets, that's fine. In most places on the planet, we're not required to wear helmets. So again, it's a question of, is the risk there?
Nathan Besh has been riding to work for 10 years and describes the new laws as draconian. He has 2 cameras on his bike and has recorded many near misses with cars and pedestrians.
A lot of them were cars pulling out. They would look for other cars and not for a bicycle or a motorbike.
There's one change coming next week that all cyclists support. It's the 1 metre matters rule. As drivers approach to overtake a cyclist, they will now have to keep 1 metre from the rider. And if the speed limit is higher, the distance increases to 1.5 metres. But check out this aggressive cyclist in Adelaide, who appears to have appointed himself the town sheriff to enforce the new rule.
Does that look like a metre to you when you pass me? Sorry?
If you're not in the bike lane, she doesn't have to give you a metre.
Of course she does, you idiot.
If it's not this guy, then who and how is the law going to be enforced?
Many motorists won't be sure how to actually execute the metre matters rule behind the wheel. So what we also need to do is make sure there's plenty of education, a big advertising campaign so that everyone knows how to overtake a cyclist safely.
We know police aren't going to be out there with rulers measuring the distance. The real benefit is in the education, such that drivers just recognise bicycle riders as vulnerable and give them a bit more room.
Bicycle groups say they'll continue to campaign against the increase in fines.
It's about making sure that cyclists get home to their families alive. It's about making sure that motorists and cyclists do a better job of sharing the road safely together.
I think we should all be out there just sharing the road so we all get home safely.
And those new laws come into effect next Tuesday.